Time now for our press review, for which I'm joined by Alison Sargent. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Chris.
Starting off with an op-ed in the New York Times by the man who has proclaimed himself interim president of Venezuela.
That's right. Juan Guaido publishing an op-ed in the New York Times today. In this op-ed, he appeals to democratic institutions around the world to support his efforts to remove Nicolás Maduro from office. He also calls on the Venezuelan people to unite behind him and declares that 84% of Venezuelans reject Maduro's rule. Now, he doesn't say where exactly that statistic comes from. The most notable detail from this op-ed is that Guaido reveals he has been having secret meetings with the armed forces and the security forces. Now, they had publicly thrown their support behind Maduro, so their support would really be a game changer for Guaido. That Guaido is publishing this editorial in a major U.S. newspaper does sort of feed into the argument by his opponents that he is a puppet of the United States. Cuba's communist paper, Grama, here has an article today repeating the claim that this is a coup organized by the U.S. This article cites a statistic that's somewhat at odds with the one put forward by Guaido in that editorial. According to the paper, 81% of Venezuelans don't even know who Guaido is. Now, it may not surprise you, Chris, that this statistic comes from a recent survey carried out by Venezuela's main governmental polling agency.
OK, we're going to head to Zimbabwe next. The recent crackdown on protests there, leading some commentators to say that not much has changed really since Robert Mugabe's time, and a report in The Guardian pointing the finger at the army.
That's right. The Guardian had exclusive access to police reports from the capital, Harare. It's in this front page article down here. These reports suggest that it was Zimbabwean soldiers who carried out widespread abuse, including murders and the rape of a 15-year-old girl. They also say soldiers stole from civilians and businesses, in one case making an 8-year-old child hand over his parents' life savings at gunpoint. Now, the government has blamed rogue elements for this, who they say had stolen army uniforms. But The Guardian in this article says that that claim is really debunked in part by reports that the perpetrators of these attacks had automatic weapons that essentially only soldiers would have had access to.
We're going to head back to the United States now, and a gruesome case from the 1990s, a reminder of that.
That's right. Lorena Bobbitt, some of you might remember her. She became famous in the 1990s because she cut off her husband's penis with a kitchen knife while he was asleep. Lorena Bobbitt now back in the headlines today because Amazon is about to release an in-depth documentary about her case. It's directed by Jordan Peele. That will be coming out the day after Valentine's Day, February 15th, if you want to mark your calendars. The New York Times spoke to Lorena Bobbitt. This is really a fascinating read, this article. The paper says, we tend to remember what she did, but not why she did it. She was really depicted at the time as sort of this crazy woman when really she was fighting back against domestic abuse. Her case brought attention to the issue of marital rape, which had only just been ruled a crime in the United States. And her husband did have a history of sexual assault and had spent time in jail for it. Lorena Bobbitt ultimately got acquitted for what she did to him. She now says that she relates to both Monica Lewinsky and Tanya Harding, two other women from the 1990s whose stories were perhaps misconstrued at the time and have now been retold in recent years. Lorena Bobbitt said that she chose to speak out now because she feels the climate has really changed with the Me Too movement. Essentially, she felt that now her story would finally get equal billing with her husband's penis. She said it's worth putting up with all of the penis jokes if she can shed light on sexual assault and domestic abuse.
OK, let's cross the Atlantic now, where Brigitte Macron is in the spotlight.
That's right. The First Lady making the front page of Le Parisien newspaper. They're promoting a book that's about to come out by two of their journalists about the First Lady. It's called Madame la Présidente. Its main focus is on what a key role Brigitte Macron plays in Emmanuel Macron's life. The paper says that without her, he likely never would have become the French president at all. It is really Brigitte who created Macron. Now, this isn't necessarily new. There's been a lot of documentation about how fusional the French first couple's relationship is. Still, the paper also seems to think that Brigitte might be able to save her husband now at a time when his popularity is so low. We see in this cartoon here a couple in a car, and the woman says, this book is really quite good, while the man is telling her that if they go through any road blockades with protesters, well, she'll have to hide that book under the yellow vest on the car's dashboard. And it will indeed be interesting to see how the sales of this book do with the current yellow vest movement.
Okay, and finally, an unfortunate tattoo.
That's right, an unfortunate tattoo by a very well-known woman, the singer Ariana Grande. This is what happens, Chris, when you try and get a tattoo in a language that you do not speak.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande meant to get a tattoo in Japanese, saying 7 rings after one of her hit songs, but after she posted a picture of it on Instagram, which you see there, many people pointed out that it actually says small charcoal grill or barbecue. People have found this extra funny because Ariana Grande is a vegan, so likely not someone who's doing a lot of grilling, although she could grill vegetables. Anyway, she acknowledged her mistake and asked for people to kindly leave her alone. She also pointed out that this tattoo is on her palm, which is a part of the body where the skin renews itself quite quickly, and so the tattoo is likely to fade.
Alison, thank you very much. That was our Press View. You can catch up on that and the rest of the news on our website. Do stay with us.